Okay, I'm ready.
Alright, ready? Alright, what's going on, everyone? We're Group 8, and we did labor unions. My name's Kyle Worker.
I'm Randy Berman.
I'm Jennifer White. Laura Hollywood.
And unions are basically a legally formed organization that is made up of workers, and they have representatives that represent them to get work. They're basically just formed. Oh man, can I start over? This is going way too fast. Sweet. Notice I don't know.
By the way, I don't think it seemed out here like you were going way too fast, Kyle.
I think that one started
That one's-
before, after
yeah.
that
Okay,
one.
it may seem like you or whatever, but I didn't get the impression that you were.
I think no, that one was
It was all.
this one.
It was all.
Yeah, and sometimes people like this one going a second faster, so you see what the next slide is before it pops up behind you. Yeah. But we didn't feel like you were going too fast. So go ahead. Sorry. That's fine.
Alright.
So you started.
Alright. We're Group 8, we did labor unions. My name's Kyle Worker.
Randy Berman.
Jennifer White. Laura Hollywood.
And basically, unions are a legal representation of workers, and they've started to form to represent the middle class, working middle class. They fight for prevailing wage and benefits and basically safety of their members. Labor union goals, they go for the prevailing wage to make sure that their workers make enough money. They go for safety conditions, and they basically give members a voice on voting. Other goals that they have is that they take care of the workers by giving them paid vacations, weekends off. And another good thing that they have is the Family Leave Act. The Family Leave Act is basically if you have a family member that needs medical attention that you can take off and you won't get in trouble with your job. If you have medical documentation, that will help them out. This is a chart for international union members around the world. As you can see, it's more popular in Europe and around there. This thing's way off. These are the two basically umbrellas that everything was formed under, the unions. You got the AFL and the Change to Win Better. The AFL was created in 1955. They represent 56 unions. They have 12 million active members and retired members, and their largest union that they represent is the county workers, which is 1.4 million people. The Change to Win Federation represents 3 unions, the Teamsters, Local 54, and the Farmers Workers. They have 4.2 million people in there. This is the biggest union charts for Mid-America with the teachers up here, and basically breaks it down by biggest ones. When you're in a union, you get a union card. I couldn't find a picture of my union card, but this is just an example one. You get that by paying your dues. You get it quarterly, and it can be taken away if you don't pay your dues or you break the rules or contracts that you have. When you're in a union, you have business agents. Business agents basically represent you in your workplace. They can send you out to work. They get contractors, and they bid on jobs. They can put people out to work. This is the union rats. You might see them when you drive around. They are if a place that's being built doesn't go to union workers, they will strike or go out like that. Then you have unions in politics. They play a big part because political people give government work and government funds to unions to put them out to work for jobs. And then unions are a big part in my life because my dad is big in Local 255, which is a carpenters union. He represents a lot of people there, and he's based out of Atlantic City. He runs 12 casinos down there. And for myself, I'm in the Teamsters Union here at home. I work for Pepsi, and that's where we get our voice from. And here's Jen with the rest.
Alright, hi everybody. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the history of labor unions, and it started during the 19th century, and I'm going to talk about how it started and how we got till today. So it all started with the Industrial Revolution, with people moving from agricultural work into working for these factories. They were facing terrible working conditions like long hours, low pay, and a lot of health risks. So along with men working in these factories, a lot of women and children are working in these too. And of course back then they were obviously receiving lower wages than the men did. And a lot of people thought that that was wrong, that it was so unequal. And this caused a lot of labor movements to develop to fight for equal rights and better, safer conditions for these people. A common way of protest back then was the strike, which, as all of us definitely know, a strike is when workers stop working as a bargaining tool during negotiations between management and their employees. While strikes tend to be very peaceful nowadays, they were quite the opposite back then. A lot of the times government troops had to be sent in to break up the strikes, and a lot of times it ended in the deaths of workers. A lot of employers hired private companies like the Pinkerton's National Detective Agency, who went in to intimidate the strikers and to escort people away from the rally. A huge event that occurred back then was the Haymarket Riot, which occurred in Chicago, Illinois, on May 1st, 1886, and these people gathered to protest the violent police responses that occurred a few days before. And when police went in to disperse the crowd, somebody actually threw a bomb into the crowd that detonated on the people, and they killed a few of them and injured many of them, which, and the bomber was actually never identified, but 8 people were convicted of inappropriate speeches during the Haymarket Riot. Despite many pleas from people, 4 of the 8 were executed, and 1 of them committed suicide while in prison waiting, which obviously angered many leaders and activists. A few years later, the Illinois Governor John P. Alcott, he released the remaining 3 convicted people, which made people obviously very happy and very pleased with him, that they actually wanted to do an international day to celebrate workers, which we know Labor Day is celebrated on the first Monday of every September to celebrate the achievements of American workers. Another man named Samuel Gompers, he put together several unions to form the American Federation of Labor, which was one of the first major unions in the United States. Almost 70 years later after it was originally created by him, the American Federation of Labor combined with the Congress of Industrial Organization to form the AFL-CIO, whose primary purpose is to find employees who work for companies who are resisting unionizing, and it still exists today. We also have the Department of Labor, which enforces over 180 federal laws. They protect about 10 million employers and about 125 million workers in the United States. Some of the regulations and laws that help to protect these employers and workers is the Fair Labor Standards Act, Occupation Safety and Healthy Administration, and a lot of workers' compensation programs. So, as you can see, these people who fought for us gave us a lot of benefits like child labor laws, minimum wage, overtime, and many other wonderful benefits. Now we're going to have Randy come up and tell us about the negatives of labor unions.
Alright, so I'm basically going to tell you a little about the negatives, and then Laura's going to follow by telling a little about the positives, because on every side there's negatives and positives, because you have a consumer, you have the customers, you have the employees, and you have the employers. So for every aspect, there's going to be different sides to it, which helps some people and hurts some people. So something about the labor union that's going to hurt as a negative is when you downsize, you don't necessarily cut the best workers. I mean, the worst workers, you're more cutting the people who've been there the shortest, which is really a downfall on that. And it's majority rules, so it goes by vote. And if you don't agree with that vote, you don't really have much of a say, especially if you're a first-time worker or somebody who's gonna come there. And every time you vote, you have corruption, because there's people, money is power, and you can pay people off with money, and when you're paying off the voters, that's gonna have a lot of deciding factors. It's hard to be a boss, because it's hard to motivate your employees to do stuff when you can't really offer them much more, or give them any incentives, because they're already in their contract, and the union covers that. Which also provides lazy workers, because no matter what they do, they're still going to be protected unless they do something very inappropriate to get fired. But besides that, they're still protected by the labor unions. And with that, there's not much room for promotion, because no matter how hard you work or how lazy you become, it doesn't really matter. You don't really have much room to promote. And union dues. It comes out a lot, especially like a kid working. It takes out like you're making minimum wage already, and after making minimum wage, you're getting a percentage of your tax taken out. And an example I have is when I was working at ShopRite, I was making minimum wage when I was 17, and after labor dues, union dues, I was making like $5 an hour, and I didn't even get any benefits to that because I was under my parents still. And it's more expensive for businesses, because when a business works, you have to pay your employees more. You can't just give them a certain cut. You have to pay them more because you have to pay for their benefits and everything, and it makes the country less competitive, because people in India and China and places all over the world could pay their people for much less than we could pay, because they don't have to pay all those extra fees. And disagreement, after a vote, if you have a disagreement, that could lead to a strike, like Jen was saying. And a strike really doesn't help for anybody. Well, in the end, it hurts everybody, because A, when you're on strike, you don't get paid, and B, no work is getting done when you're on strike. So at the time, it's hurting both things, but to get your point across, that's sometimes the only way. It's hard to negotiate also when you're in the union, because you already have your set contract, so you can't really break like things in the contract, because it can always backfire, and companies have to be very aware of that. People also take advantage of the system, because they know all the loopholes, they know all different things that they could get through by not really working and just doing personal chores, like checking their emails all day, because no matter what they do, they're gonna have a job. With labor unions, there's only limited spots, and a company can't just say, I want more workers. It's got to get passed through the labeling, the union. So with not hiring, you can't really hire as many people as you'd like, maybe, or it takes away from the people that are working hard. Higher prices for customers, because since you got to pay your customer, you got to pay for the product a lot more than you would, because there's a lot more behind the scenes that have to get added to the prices. So in the end, places like Walmart actually hurt us, because they just changed their rule to if you work under 30 hours a week, then you don't get benefits. And when you don't get benefits, we're paying that out of our taxes, because they have to sign up for Obamacare. And now she's going to take over positives.
Okay, yeah, like you said, I'm going to address all the positives that come with labor unions. The first one is it simplifies negotiation. So if I'm an employer and I want to make a recruitment or trying to find the perfect employee for me, it's easy for me to go right to the head or the representative of labor unions and address what I want, and then they can address what they want. And it'll make it a lot easier, and it'll make the timing and the money spent for recruitment and hiring will be a lot faster. It improves job satisfaction. So if I am in the labor union, a lot of people feel that they have a voice in the labor union. If they have a problem, it can be addressed. And because if they have their representative, they have someone that can address it for them. And that keeps an open line of communication with the employer and the employees, because they constantly feel like they can address situations and let their employee know what they want because of the negotiation. Employee satisfaction, you guys are all majority business majors. You know that it's key to have employee satisfaction if you want to have high quality production. High quality production is a necessity. Less turnover. If I'm an employee who's part of a labor union and I feel that
all my issues and wants and needs are being addressed, I'm going to be less likely to join to leave the organization. Also, I pay to be involved in the labor union, so I'm going to be less likely to want to leave the job as well. It also saves money again for the employer, because they don't have to spend money trying to recruit more people and wasting time and money on the recruitment process again, because people aren't leaving, they're enjoying and staying at their job. Again, you guys are business majors, you know that you have to adjust and adapt in the business world to succeed. It's easier to make changes when you're involved with the business or with the labor unions, because if you have a problem, you can address it and talk to the head or the representative of the labor union, and they can address it and make it clear to all of the employees, and basically just get the point across and make the change go more smoothly. So I'd like everyone to pretend that they want to be an electrician. So you think, well, I'm going to throw some statistics at you, but basically if you were to want to become a union or ununion employee. So according to the IBEW, union jobs pay approximately 27% more a week than non-union jobs for the same work. Why is that? Because normally with contracts, you have it where they make it set those prices, and also you know that you have job security. So with job security, I know for people that are not in the union, what they do is it's called at will, and basically that's where you can get let go of your job and then for no probable cause. Whereas if you're in the union, they make it clear for the majority of it that you will keep your job with that contract. 92% of union workers have job-related health coverage versus 68% of non-union workers. So benefits is huge, huge for any employee. When everyone's going to be looking for jobs, that's one of the things you really want. So for an electrician, it would be probably beneficial for them to go with the union because of the gap in benefits. 72% of union job sites require safety training. But yeah, basically you know how the benefits are, so you know that if you have not as many benefits, then you want to ensure that you have good safety. And unions make that clear. But yeah, basically that was I don't know the last time. Alright, yeah, that was it. But